Hello and welcome to another episode of Chillin' with Dylan. I'm your host Dylan, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a podcast topic around risk, and specifically, it's about taking risks in life. This has been on my heart and mind for a while now, and I can't wait to share a few thoughts around this. But let's get started. And so, first of all, what's the definition of a risk? Well, some of the definitions I had to look up and search for involve words and themes like change, uncertainty, and unpredictability, amongst a few other things for risk. But yeah, essentially, it's obviously taking an action or step to change things up and try something. And you don't have full control over the outcome of that thing. Basically, that's at least how I'd probably like to define it. You just have to release control to the world, essentially. But you do have the ability to take that first step, to take that risk, whatever it may be. So why am I doing this podcast? Why is it important to take risks in life? Well, as mentioned, sometimes maybe we get into routine or we kind of get comfortable, and that's great. But then comes things like predictability, and maybe that limits growth or something like that. So taking risks often can avoid certain elements of predictability with things, especially if that's not kind of the life or thing direction you want to live towards. That predictability kind of takes you away from whatever you kind of want to do deep down. So yeah, and the other thing, obviously, I mentioned, it allows for a growth mindset way of approaching life. So you try something, you take a risk, whether it's big or small, and then you learn something new. You develop skills, knowledge, wisdom, and experiences that you can then use for the next season or part of your life. And yeah, so that's why I think it's important to take risks and do it, relatively frequently, whatever that definition of frequently means for you. Yeah. And finally, I think I've realized and reflected, but as a kid, as a child, often we're actually just out there learning about the world and taking risks all the time. Whether it's in the playground, we're trying new slides or swings, and making new friends, whatever. Being introduced to so many things, and we are often taking risks without even thinking about it. And at that time, maybe our lives probably feel a lot fuller with just encountering so many different things, learning new things. So yeah, and as adults, as you get older, I feel like you kind of get more knowledgeable and you feel like you're smarter, you're wiser, and that's good. But then you kind of like think away the possibility of taking certain risks that may actually be good for you. Being like, oh, like that's not for me, or what do people think? It's too scary. I don't want to lose this thing. What if I lose this? And you kind of like counting the cost as an adult in a way, all the time, when actually sometimes maybe you think about it, there's a benefit, there's an opportunity. You just don't know because it's obviously by definition a risk. And doing that, you open yourself up to receiving something that may be good if it's in the right direction of who you are. And as a child, we don't even think about these things, it just happens. But yeah, I think as we grow older, in some aspects, keeping a childlike curiosity may be helpful for whatever we're doing in life. Yeah, what happens if you don't take risks? As I was saying, like nothing new happens. Sometimes everything tends to stay the same for a long period of time, maybe in the realm of years. The same kind of feeling internally, and same things around you externally, the things that are happening, the places you're around, people, thoughts and conversations and ideas, and so internally as well. So um, yeah, like um, without taking risks, often what kind of happens is life just takes you like kind of down a particular direction. It's kind of, being really forceful, and you know not taking a particular risk that may benefit you will just kind of lead to being more passive and being led down somewhere you may not want to go. And that's what I find sometimes, especially around environments or groups, or yeah, just communities or large groups of people. Um, the external voice of that is actually so powerful. Um, and yeah, you sometimes may need to consider trying something, doing something, which could be a risk, may involve a bit of risk. So yeah, maybe yeah, you can reflect about that. But what I'm talking about as well, when I define taking risks and what it is and stuff, I'm not talking about necessarily um, just selling everything, selling your house, your car, liquidating all your assets, and then moving to some foreign country like, I know, Mongolia, and then living, nomadically, and then, learning how to ride um, different types of animals, and, farming, and um, I'm just saying example. That doesn't mean you have to do something, like all those, a lot of travel influencers and stuff do. It may not be something as drastic or major as that, but I mean, if you're thinking about that anyway, maybe it's a sign. Just kidding. But I'm actually more specifically just thinking about a lot of little small risks, things that are actually within our realm of control in everyday life. Like, so many opportunities are there to take small risks that actually don't have too much of a potential cost, or something to lose. It's actually something, maybe around trying something new. If I have to reflect back in like my life, um, throughout the stages and seasons, there's been little risks I've taken, and it's in good environments, especially for example, school, like, from primary all the way up to high school, you're often getting opportunities to try new things, and things like might be a sport, for example, or music, or other kinds of activities in groups, and then you learn what you like and what you don't like. And so that's actually a risk in a way. You might not know or think about it like that, um, but yeah. Trying new things at school if you're in that season. Don't know how many high schoolers or people at that season of life are listening, but if you are, yeah, things like that, when you get chances. And uni as well, university, when you're there, you get opportunities to try new courses and classes, and clubs as well, and groups, things that you might like or dislike, you can try. They're all a risk in some way. You may end up paying that money and then not going to any activities, and then you waste. That's such a low cost. Usually you're not getting charged too much, hopefully. That's another example. Traveling to new countries, and experiencing new cultures and languages. Obviously you come back learning things. Usually, that's another example. Maybe a slightly bigger risk. A bigger one would be moving to a new place like city or country, or even if you're moving suburbs in the same city that you grew up in, that actually might be a risk, like, but often, yeah, there's things that you can gain, and obviously there's lots of factors like costs to consider as well. Um, Other examples of risks, things like starting a podcast, like this one. That's a risk. You never know what happens. But from experience, speaking from it, I'm so grateful I got to start this podcast. Could have not. But since I did 5 years ago, it's been such a blessing. So I'm grateful for doing that. And anything that I was thinking about beforehand, being like, oh, like, what about this and that? A lot of it hasn't happened. So that's another thing, starting other kind of content channels like YouTube channels or other platforms, and just putting stuff out there, whether it's like TikTok or Instagram and others. That's also a risk. There's a lot of things that go on there, but yeah, those are things that people do, including you, if you already do or you want to. Yeah, and another one is like starting a business, for example, a small business or a startup, that kind of entrepreneurship route that people take. That's a bit of a bigger risk, of course. Like hopefully you can see the picture. So there's a small risk at school, then you're moving forward in life, and then there's bigger ones. But that's another example, and you definitely have to weigh up the pros and cons and, budget, all that stuff. But yeah, that's another risk. And I just want to say good job to all the small business owners out there who are chasing their dreams and building things, whether it's cafes and other businesses, good on you, because yeah, those risks aren't being taken on by other people. And so because of that, maybe others out there get to enjoy amazing products or services, be blessed by the things that people like, that kind of do and take on that risk, hopefully for the benefit of others. Um, yes, and what other risks are there? The final one I think I can mention is regarding relationships and love. That kind of involves risk, like at least the start of it. Um, Someone's going to take a risk. I think that's probably the truth, usually. Sometimes maybe it happens, but usually someone has to take the risk of asking someone out, whether it's indirectly or directly. Um, so good on you if you've ever done that in your life. You can be proud. And of course, like I said, sometimes those things, there's no guarantee of what may happen. There's no control. You kind of just got to release the outcome to the world. Um, but yeah, I mean, for all these examples, if there's something that you want or anyone wants, um, usually it's on the other side of a risk that someone has taken or you will take. So think about what you want. Like, I hope that there's things that may be obvious or small steps that can lead to new things in your life. And all the things I've done, I'm so glad I have. Yeah, like, um, it's not easy, but uh, at least in my experience, so many of these things are worth it. These small risks, joining a community, joining something, starting something, asking someone for something, whether it's for a date or their hand in marriage. Anyways, so yeah, the flip side of taking those little steps of faith is potentially a lot of fear that people or you may experience, being like, oh, what if this happens? And that's okay. That's actually part of the adventure. It's a journey of taking risks, or meaningful risks, I guess. So if there is things like fear, anxiety, stress, um, that may be plaguing you, in this process of being like, oh, like, do I do this or do I not do this? Here's a few ideas I just thought about, to overcome fears that involve um, that are involved, right? So first thing, you've heard it before, I'm sure, but just honestly, forget what others think, forget what other people think, forget about so many people, especially those that you don't know too well. Just just do it if it's something you want. Um, you just can't control what others think, and that's a fact. Um, yeah, like especially if it involves putting yourself out there in the world. Um, you can't control it, so just do it. um, you never know what happens. And honestly, if anyone thinks negative things, that you just got to let them, and yeah, you got to release control essentially of things going a particular way that you want. Sometimes things don't happen the way that we want exactly after taking a risk. Um, and at the end of the day, you might receive something that you didn't expect. Um, yeah, like in any of these um, scenarios and examples, just I think trust the process, trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and see what happens. Some things that can help with overcoming fears include maybe, when you're at home, quietly or loudly, just stating positive words out loud of what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, and just stating it out loud while you're by yourself. Um, just kind of giving yourself that little boost. Writing down the things that you will do, the risks, whether you call it a risk or not, that you want to do, whether it's this year, in the next month, or whatever it is. Writing down, I will do this, I want to do this, and I'll do it here at this time, by this time. That will help a lot, just kind of giving that accountability to yourself. And yeah, I think if you're someone who has a faith, you can also pray. You can just ask for whatever. And, if you don't ask, you never know what may happen if you ask. Sometimes the world has a way of potentially giving unexpected surprises just when you need it at the right time. So it really doesn't hurt to ask, and you might receive. It'll, yeah, it'll be fine, and there's no cost really of doing that. No cost at all. So yeah, finally, I think overcoming fears often involves a bit of strength that may not come from ourselves, maybe from other people. So I think using love is something that can really help. So either being around people who love you, who you love, and who support you, and gaining strength from that before taking a leap into something, especially if it's big. But even small things, getting support and encouragement with people who know what you might want to do for your next new adventure or next step in life, whatever it is. That helps, because no matter what, you can try something, release the outcome to the world. If it's good or bad, whatever you learn, you know that there's actually just someone out there who still loves you no matter what. And that's really encouraging and strengthening, at least from my perspective, knowing that there'll be at least one person that'll be there for you to hear what went well, what you succeeded on, and what you failed on. Especially if you did something like you confessed your love to someone. Well, sometimes sometimes you need a shoulder to cry on. Happy tears, of course. Anyways, uh, yeah, so those are some ideas. Um, and, here at Chillin' with Dylan podcast, we support you, we love you. If you're a listener, long-time listener, or new listener, just, yeah, wish all the best. We got you. Just keep listening in. And yeah, finally, there are examples of things that are probably too risky. I just wanted to leave that here as a disclaimer at the end. what are the things that actually maybe are not a good idea? So we talk about a lot of small risks, and maybe from there's also big risks in comparison. Like, just to be honest and straightforward, probably almost anything that involves the risk of injury, serious injury, or even death, or harm to others in those areas, just don't do it, or be very careful. Don't do that, impulsively, or at all. Yeah, that's pretty obvious, right? Like being in dangerous places, maybe dangerous areas or countries or dodgy places, especially in maybe people, or groups that may be a bit more dangerous. Yeah, be very, very careful of those. Yeah, apply some wisdom, double check if you got that feeling of, "Ooh, that might not be a good thing," or feeling a bit risky or worried about personal safety. Um, so yeah, just be careful with things that involve danger. This is a bit different, I would say, to risks where maybe logically or statistically there is lower levels of risk and danger. So things like that might include adventure activities of, like bungee jumping, or others like that, paragliding, or even skydiving. Often statistically, there's very, very little risk. There's more risk sometimes of just being at home and natural disasters happening while like just doing a thing. And I think that's the last thing I kind of want to end on. Um, it may feel like it's really risky right now in this moment to start on something or join something, or take a little risk and ask something or talk about something. But at the end of the day, I honestly think the bigger risk sometimes is not taking any risks at all in life. Um, and hopefully this makes sense, but like, the world just keeps changing and moves forward. If you're not taking risks, often the world at large, it's actually going to do things to you and force you to do things, or put you in positions of risk anyway. And maybe the biggest example of this, which people have probably seen a lot recently, is redundancies and being made redundant. Not taking on a risk maybe at the right time, there's always a risk of things that may seem stable as well. So yeah, and that sucks. But on top of that, there's all sorts of other things going on in the world right now. Lots of change, lots of disruption, and yeah, like just instability globally in general. So maybe the risk isn't that big at all, whatever that may be for you. Just, yeah, be bold. And here at CWD Podcasts, we got you. And I hope you really, really enjoyed this podcast today. Just a short one, after a little while. But thank you so much for listening. I think as this comes out, we're going to be pretty much at 5 years of CWD podcast being alive. So thank you for being here with me and the rest of the crew, the creators and guests. Really appreciate your support and love. Yeah, more to come. More to come. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And you've just listened to another episode of Chillin' with Dylan.